hear about the young man that was actually in church today? It was brought up. Young man, about 14 years of age, I believe it was. Father was a police officer. The young man committed suicide, and very, very tragic thing. They brought it up in a church, just a prayer request for the family. It was a pretty sad thing, and it wasn't just that the young man committed suicide, but he used his father's field weapon to kill himself with. So the father is, obviously very, very emotionally destroyed because of this, not just because of the loss of his son, but because of the fact that it was his weapon that was used in the suicide. So my heart goes out to that family. It's a hard thing, and I know what it means to lose a loved one. But like they've said it, I've heard it say that there's no, what do they say it, call that, Jeff? That there's no, a hurt that you cannot experience, a hurt more greater than the loss of a child. And I have to believe that.
Sure.
I have to believe that as a parent, you're there at that birth, you're there at that first step, you're there at that first word, and to have that snuffed out, I mean, my heart just goes out to the family in Grand Blanc. So if you do happen to see this video, I just want you to know that Flint and Davison, we are thinking of you, and our prayers are with you, and just keep the faith, man. I know you don't want to hear that or may not want to hear that, but just keep the faith, and you'll pull through it. You'll move forward. Again, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that had to happen. So yeah, it was quite the down news, I guess, today at church. But
and the sad thing about suicide, especially not just for teenagers, but suicide for any age. But in this particular case, suicide of a teenager is, I mean, the parent will likely, be looking for answers, and like, why did my child feel like they did that? Why did they have to go that route? Why didn't they talk to me? Sometimes the answer is there is no answer.
Yeah.
And you just, sometimes it just, life happens, and that's really a harsh reality of it. Sometimes life happens, and it's really a hard deal to get over.
Mm-hmm.
You can't explain it. You can't justify it. You can't rationalize it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I agree with what you said. If they happen to see this video, if somebody knows the family that sees this video on YouTube, on Davidson Talk, wherever, our hearts and prayers go out to that family for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely feel free to let us know. Talk to us. If you got a message you want to send out, get a hold of us.
Absolutely.
We'd like to hear from you. And let's encourage a little bit of openness, and let's encourage some communication so that other teenagers don't feel that suicide is the option, because it's never the option.
It's never. I agree. I 100% agree with you on that. And it shouldn't be. And one of the things that was asked is, the question was, I don't understand what it is that's so horrible in a 14-year-old's life that would drive them to do that. If you are a young adult, and like Jeff is saying, or Bird is saying, life is only, expectancy of 70 years. That means 70 summers, 70 winters, and that's it. And you should try to enjoy and embrace every single one of those days, every single one of those seasons. If you are having issues like this and those thoughts have crossed your mind, call somebody. Call the police, call 911, call a friend. Call someone. Don't ever think that you're alone. Don't ever be alone, because there's too many people out there that can help you and are willing to help you and don't care what color you are, male, female, white, black, Chinese. They don't care. To them, you're a human being and you deserve the right to enjoy life. So, I mean, again,
Exactly.
I can't stress enough on that. My heart just goes out to that family. You know, I have two sons, and I tell you, they get behind the wheel of that car and it scares me. Ethan has been in 3 horrific accidents. Austin and him were in a horrific accident. God has blessed me to bring my boys back home. All I can say is my heart just goes out for this young man's parents. But and again, if you are a teen and that is part of your game plan or your thought, we have a guest speaker on this show who is from the community parent, who is a big into children or young adults with suicide tendencies. Click on that link. You may want to get a hold of him and talk to them. It's a community parent. Google them. They're out there, I guarantee it. But sad. I just wish that that didn't happen.
Well, I think the most important message is what you said just a little while ago, is that you're not alone.
No.
You know, that's the key thing. Always remember you're not alone. If you can't find someone that you know personally,
Mm-hmm.
then call us. You know,
Yeah, call me.
Let us help. Let us help lead you to the people that can do better.
Yeah.
You know, that can be there for you, and we'll lend an ear. You know, we'll talk to you. You know, whatever. But most important, you know, get a hold of someone. Talk to someone.
Yes.
Talk to an adult. Don't just keep the feelings, keep the emotions, keep that depression bottled up. It's never going to be easy,
Yep.
but it can be better.
Yes.
It can never be easy, but it can be better. And all you got to do is open up.
I agree.
Let people know. Let somebody that you trust know. And if you don't feel like you can trust somebody, let somebody you don't know, or that you don't trust, know. But
Yep.
at least let somebody know so that you can get somebody out there talking to you, and they can talk to you in a way that maybe they'll say something to help you get through whatever you're struggling with.
Exactly. Excellent points. Yeah. You know, our number, unfortunately, it's not live 24/7, but while we are on the air, it is live. I mean, you know what, Jeff, Bert, I don't have my number up on the screen there. Even if, again, my number may not be on here, and I need to get that on here. I did not realize that it was not on here. Yep.
Go to DavidsonTalkNetwork.com. It's listed there. Call it.
Exactly.
It don't matter. It's the important thing is to talk.
Yes.
The important thing is to know that you're never alone.
Yep.
That things will get better.
Yes. And you know, it's something else that I think that needs to be mentioned along with this, and not just with the children who are suffering with this or mental illness or these problems, but you as parents really need to understand some of the warning signs, and they're there. They are there. Those warning signs are there. If your child is not communicating or not willing, their whole behavior is key. You brought that child into this world. You should know and be able to read that child like a book And I'll tell you, I've done it with both of my boys. I know when something's not right, and I confront them right away, and we talk. Look for those warning signs. Drug addiction, alcohol, they become inverted. They don't want to be around people. They talk about strange things like they start asking questions about death, about what it would be like to be buried. Start watching for those signs. And not every case you're going to see those, but a lot of cases they're there. You may blow it off as what is wrong with him today. He's trying to talk to you. That's what's wrong with him today. So watch those signs. And if you're not sure what those signs are, I'm telling you folks right now, if you go online and if you Google teen suicide, there is so many articles out there, thousands and thousands of articles. Look for them.
Right.
Look for the
Yeah,
signs.
the key point to all of that is communication, open line of communication.
Yes.
Talk to your children, talk to your parents. Parents definitely don't treat don't take what your children saying and punish them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a time to worry about punishment. It's a time to look at your child and say, maybe we've got an issue here that we need to address, and so we're going to address this together as a family.
Yeah, absolutely.
This isn't a disciplinary problem. This is an emotional problem, and I don't mean emotional problem or emotional issue in a sense that it's that they're misbehaving. I don't want anybody to misinterpret what I'm saying here as being any type of disciplinary thing.
Right.
It's not that. It's merely if your friends, your children, whoever, they're going through a rough spot in their life. They're struggling with something.
Yep.
Whatever that something may be to them, it's a great thing to them.
Exactly.
And we may look at it, we may think it's not that great of a deal. It's no big deal. It's also important too is as parents is not to blow them off. Oh well, you'll get over it.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the case.
Yep.
A child, especially children, teenagers, that is a very rough time. Their life is that moment. They're living in the moment.
Yep. They're not thinking.
Everything that they're going through at that moment is the most important thing they're going through at any time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's never been any greater time in their life than that moment.
Exactly.
And it's important to address that moment as it is.
Exactly. That time frame was best explained to me as to take every hormone, every emotion, everything that you can possibly think, put it in a blender, blend it up for 5 minutes, pour it back into your head again, and go, now figure it out. It can be very overwhelming. Teen suicide is a horrific thing. And again, like Bird is saying, like I'm saying to you, please reach out and grab somebody. Reach out and say, I need help. And don't be ashamed and don't be afraid. That's sad. It's very, very sad.
But, this is one of those type of topics that we could go on and on and on about because it's such a valid, such an important thing to deal with and to remember. And I'd really like to see us try to find a professional counselor sometime to maybe get in and have them come online with us and interview them and talk about this stuff and give better advice than what we can. We are not professionals.
Correct.
We can only tell you what we know from being parents and dealing with our children over the years. I thank God every day that my daughter and my stepkids grew up to be healthy young adults. Were they perfect? Absolutely not. Was I perfect? Was their mother perfect? Absolutely not. We all made mistakes. We all dealt with things. We all faced depression. We all faced times of struggle, but we faced it together in many ways, and we kept going, and we kept thriving, and we kept moving on, and that's the important thing. And I thank God every day for that.
Oh,
that
yeah.
we made it. We made it into adulthood. That my children made it into adulthood. So I think it would be really, really cool if we could find some counselor that would maybe be willing to get a hold of it and be willing to come on air with it and do a live broadcast about this very topic. So if anybody out there in the Davidson, Genesee County, Davidson, Michigan, Flint, Michigan, Lapeer, Genesee County area that is a counselor directly and specifically dealing with teen suicide or teen issues, that'd be absolutely wonderful. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to have you contacted. Or if adult counselor, I don't care, somebody within that field, we'd love to hear from you and set up a time, set up a date to get together and let's go over it because it's an important issue.
Oh, yeah. I agree 100%. So, yeah, I mean, you guys heard it from Bird. I mean, definitely. And, I'll get a hold of my friend John for sure. And like I said, he does a lot with a gentleman from Community Parent who is a father of a daughter who had committed suicide from drug overdose. And he's really, really big into prevention, helping, trying to, we never can really understand it, but if we can at least see it, catch it, and fix it. And I mean, again, and something else I want to throw in there real quick, Bird, and we'll kind of move on a little bit, is I want all of these kids to understand one thing. It's not your fault. It's not your fault, okay? Sometimes things go wrong inside of our heads and that we can't control. So don't never assume or think that you're stupid or there's something, that whatever the case might be, always remember, it's not your fault. Don't take the blame for it. Call somebody. Please call somebody. Friend, family, studio, I don't care. Call somebody. So again, the officer and the family of the young man that killed himself in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Here at Davison Talk Network, just so you guys know, our hearts go out to you. I feel bad. I truly do. And, if I can get somebody to, help these kids, then we're going to do it for sure.
Right. Totally agree.
So, on the flip side, remember we've been talking about the Flint water and Genesee County Drain Commission, and they've been doing all this stuff to fix the water issue in Flint. They dug this massive pipeline that allegedly we knew nothing about, but they built it. And they're going to be paying for it soon. They're taking water out of Port Huron, which is a mercury-based lake. I don't get it. I don't understand it, but I don't know, Jeff.
Now there's a lot of talk that there's a few articles online I've read, and some of these are a few years old. Some of them are a little more current, but there's, water levels have already dropped.
Oh, yeah.
Lakes.
Yeah.
And so now they're going to be pumping thousands of gallons out of the lake.
Yep.
Out of the lakes, and they're going to be using that to provide water for this area and other areas, I'm sure,
Yep.
And, there's a lot of concern about how much more will that drop the water levels.
Well, last winter, they said that because of the water levels and the Great Lakes have never completely frozen. Last year was the first year in God knows how long, and as far as I know, forever, our Great Lakes completely froze. Now that takes a lot, because some of these Great Lakes, and I hate this, I live in Michigan, I don't even know the name of all three of the Great Lakes, but they actually wanted to make one of the Great Lakes classified as an ocean because it's so deep and it's so big, and it froze. Okay, so now in order for that to happen, that water temperature obviously has to get to a certain temp. Now, they didn't freeze solid, thank God, because it would have killed off the fishing industry for Michigan completely. But they froze, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 inches of ice. We're talking several feet of ice. And something, I don't know how many people know this, but from what I understand is that when ice is created on the surface, whether it be an inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, I'm going to use this as an example. A friend of mine, Tim, had a really, really nice pond out in his yard. It was a deep pond. This pond was 12 feet in some sections. Well, his pond froze, and it froze enough so that all the ice pulled all the oxygen out of the water and killed all the fish. Are we going to be heading to that same possibility happening with us, with the Great Lakes? Is that water level going to get so low that we're going to get mass die-off of game fish or even fish of any kind because the oxygen is being depleted now from the lakes? Kind of a domino effect, maybe. I mean, I'm not a biochemist. I'm not I tell you who would know more about this would be my Uncle Gary. He was a college, he's a professor at Ferris State University. He's an environmental specialist. And, I tell you, he would be a one to get an interview with, because he would know more of the ins and outs, I would think, of this. But kind of a scary thought, And the reason I'm even bringing this up is because every day when I go to work and fighting the construction, I drive down Dordt Highway, and it never ceases to amaze me in the fact that they are still running open fire hydrants. What the hell? Are you ever going to shut them? Is that nasty that you got to run them fire hydrants open like that all the time? I seen one, this is no lie, Bird, the water coming out of it was so brown. I was like, serious? And that's connected to people's houses? And this city and this state are charging these people how much for water? Ain't no way. No way in hell.
That's pretty scary, yeah.
Yep. A guest that was on All Points TV show made it, I met this man in person. I got to tell you, RBR, you're fantastic. I just, Mr. Robinson, I commend you for, what you said about that, and this will stick in the back of my mind probably forever. And all I can say is as close as I can to quoting him word per word. If it looks like shit, it smells like shit, it's probably shit. Don't drink it. I don't understand this, and everything is being kept so secret. I mean, they're not even involving the residents of Flint. They're not even telling them, oh, boil your water. Boil your water, hell, don't even drink it. Where I live, and again, I'm blessed to be where I'm at, and I'm fortunate to have what I have. I don't drink Flint City water is not out here. We don't have that water. We're on a central well system that is filtered, clean. And one thing about our water out here is you never taste chlorine. There's no chlorine in our water. The water treatment, I don't know how they do it. It's a big, I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head here, but it's a very, very elaborate filtration system. And occasionally, yeah, our water does go out, but you know what? It comes right back on. And I was at my friend's and getting cotton mouth. I said, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and grab a glass of water. Went to take a drink of this water, and I thought I was drinking pool water. I was shocked at the amount of chlorine odor coming from this water. Now, if you don't know this, or if you folks don't understand this, that chlorine will cause cancer. It's linked directly to cancer. It will cause you to have cancer. Overexposure of it is not good. And we're not talking 1 part per thousand, any part. Chlorine is put into that water to kill the bacteria, to make the water drinkable. What's it doing to your body? I know for a fact that I believe it's prostate cancer, liver cancer, kidney cancer, bladder cancer right off the bat has been directly linked to high volumes of drinking, getting too much chlorine. Not only the chlorine, but they add another favorite chemical of mine, fluoride, to the water. Are you familiar with the fluoride treatment there, Bird?
No.
Again, little secret thing that they don't tell people, and I'm assuming that they are still doing it. Fluoride, it was introduced into the water to keep kids' teeth strong, as a means to stop tooth decay, because so many children were eating so many sweets and developing cavities. So we came up with this wonderful idea: let's put fluoride in the water. Fluoride should never be ingested. That's why they tell you right on your toothpaste bottle, if you actually read the tube, it tells you do not swallow, because it contains fluoride, which also causes cancer. So we're pumping water from a lake that is mercury-based. We are drinking pool water with fluoride, and we are running fire hydrants 24/7. What's your water bill going to be this month, Bird?
Say that again.
What's your water bill going to be this month?
You know what? I don't know. Because here's the thing. Normally, we get our bill from our landlord, and they always give it to us right after I pay my other bills.
Okay.
And I went and called the water department up Friday, I believe it was. And it said that I owe 30 cents.
Wow. That's about all that water's worth.
I paid $193 last month.
Uh-huh.
And because it said I was behind a month. So I said, you know what, the heck with this. I'm paying everything.
Right.
Making sure that no matter what, I'm all caught up. So my next bill should be obviously lower.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't expect it to be 30 cents. So I'm going to call tomorrow
Uh-huh.
and see if the new bill is listed yet. Because, if it's only 30 cents, I'm going to drive up to the water department to pay the bill.
Oh, yeah.
I think I might have to go up to the hospital and go through the vending machine to find 30 cents.
Dude, I'll give you the money. But here's what, pay them all in pennies and make them count them. Pay them all 100% in pennies.
Yeah, there you go. So I don't know. I'm hoping it's only 30 cents when I call tomorrow, because if it is, I'm going to go pay 30 cents.
Sure.
I'm going to call it even.
Yeah, I don't blame you. But, I really wish that instead of all of this political mumbo jumbo that's been going on, and that our state would really sit down and reconsider what's going on with the water. I mean, these different cities, these different counties, come on, man, this has got to stop. It scares me, and everybody, they get all mad when I tell them, I don't drink city water. Oh, well, you too good for that? No, I just don't want to die from it. And I know you you guys, you and Diane both use the bottled water still, right?
Yeah, we still use that water thing that you told us to keep.
Right. Yep. And the thing I
Now
tell.
we don't use. Now actually the only thing we really use that for
Mm-hmm.
is hot tea.
Sure.
And but the rest of the time we make coffee, iced tea, Kool-Aid, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
whatever we drink it. We just get it right out of the tap.
Okay.
And I've had just straight water from the tap, and it tastes fine to me. I don't taste anything, any levels of chemicals in there. I don't
Mm-hmm.
smell anything.
Okay.
So I'm not too worried yet. That doesn't, that could change, on a dime.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But right now, I don't feel too terribly bad about the idea of just turning the tap on and drinking a glass of water, although I don't do that very often.
Right.
I want something a little stronger than water most of the time, so I have tea or coffee.
Right. Well, and and in all fairness, I'm not. I'm upset with the city because of the way they did it. Now, are they trying to fix that? Absolutely, they are. They are trying to work in the new system. They're trying to get the system back online. They're trying to get things, back up and working again. So I commend you for that, and I'm glad that they are doing that. Again, one of the things I guess that just kind of offends me and puts a bad taste in my mouth is the fact that you knew that shit was coming a long time ago. Why didn't you take care of it then?
Right.
You knew what was going to happen. And how freaking dare you sit there and, a water filtration system that had been offline for God knows how many years and needed updating then, you shut it down. We get our water from Detroit. Now Detroit says, look, we're done. Get your own damn water. They turn the valve off. You turn the plant back on and don't do nothing to prepare that plant. That I think is what, was what caught a lot of people off guard. They did nothing. Turn it on.
Right.
Okay, was it working? Oh no. What's this stuff coming out of it? Look like shit. Smell like shit. Must be shit. Sorry, FCC. Maybe you all ought to step
I
into
only
it.
have one other thing to tell you about all this, and I got one topic that I just found online that I think we've talked about before, and
Mm-hmm.
the date has come and gone. I want to bring it up again.
Sure.
And that I don't understand the logic behind spending all of those millions of dollars to run a pipeline for water all the way from Port Huron to Flint.
Yeah. And you and the residents of Genesee County, somewhere along the line, have to pay for that. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand it one bit. I don't think it's fair. And they're talking that, like I said, when you see hydrants running, just running, nothing hooked, just open water pouring out of them, you're paying for that. I'm paying for it. I think it's ridiculous. Like I said, man, why would, I don't understand, I guess, the full, the thought process behind this. You already are crippling a county that's already crippled that can't afford it anyway, and yet you're going to increase it again so you can pay for this pipeline that we didn't know anything about.
Right.
Silly.
Right. That goes back to, and I really believe that's the reason that over the last few years we've seen a water increase from, well, when we moved into this house we live in on April 27, 2007, which was my birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And our water bill was right about $35 to $37 a month.
Wow.
And then it went up to $60 some a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then it jumped up to 70 some, and then it went up to 90 some, and now it's hovering right around 100 and some dollars a month.
Yeah, because you are,
And I believe it really had to do with they were increasing the rate because of the pipeline.
yep.
You know, so.
And again,
Now that it's finished, now that it's finished or almost finished, once it's finished, are they going to decrease our water bill?
no,
What you paid for?
they said
Of course
that
not.
allegedly, the way that I understand this, and again, I didn't research this, folks, so I could be way off in left field, and if I am, I apologize for that. But the way that I understand it is it's like a 40% increase over like a 5-year or so many year thing. So if you were paying $100 a month for water, which again is ridiculous, we're surrounded by it. Why are we paying that much for it? So if you're paying $100 a month over the next 5 to 10 years, that's going to go up quite a bit. Not
Right.
just the cost of the water delivery system. That increase is going to happen every year, no matter what. It's a 3 to 5% increase, I believe, somewhere in that area. So you got that, plus you got that the other increase for the pipeline, the taxes on it, blah blah blah. They're going to kill you. Your $100 bill, your
Right.
$100 a month is going to run you about $250. And do they care? No, they'll come out and shut it off. They don't give a shit. You know,
Right.
that's
Our landlord's son lived down in Detroit, him and his wife, and
hmm
they came up, was it last weekend? Last weekend, and they were talking about wanting to move back up here
hmm
and get a house here in Flint in this area to be close to their mom and dad. And our landlord told them, look, you'd be better off getting a place in Burton, because the water bill and the taxes here in Flint area are just way more than what they are any place else.
Dude, it's ridiculously stupid.
And that's a comment, and I'm hearing that a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hearing that a lot.
A guy that
Not
comes,
just my landlord, but others.
yeah, a friend of mine, he comes into our store all the time. He shops there. I'm not going to mention his name, you know, just out of respect. Awesome fella. And he's been buying up vacant homes in Flint. And what he's been doing with them is he tears them down. Okay, and the man's got money. So he goes in and he buys these houses and he tears them back down. And what he does is he hires people in the neighborhood to assist, and he pays them for tearing that down. Then what he does is, after, the way that I understand is, he's up to like 10 or 15 homes now. He buys them for pennies on the dollar. Like, you know, the house, it could be a $40,000 house, he's buying for $400 or $500. Tearing them out of there. And now he's starting to put manufactured homes on those parcels that he owns. And it's just amazing, dude. It just kills me. You're revitalizing these neighborhoods. This guy's come in, he's put all this time, this effort, he's asked nothing for the city to do anything for these houses, not whatever. Now all of a sudden they raise his taxes. They're charging him some ungodly frickin' amount for licensing. They've denied him permits now. You know, and for what? To help clean up that shithole? I don't understand that. And I mean, and I hate to say that. I hate to call Flint, you know, the dark side of this state. I was born and I was raised in Flint. I grew up in Flint. Flint used to be one of the most happiest places around. Flint was where everybody came to every 4th of July. Kersley Park was the hangout. It was a beautiful, live, it was a living city. There was really any unemployment. And if you were unemployed, you were stupid and just didn't want to work. It was a hustle bustle town. Beautiful homes, Bird, just beautiful homes. You know, and they just let it go to shit. And it started with our mayor. Oh, I was gonna go play golf today. I don't care that I owe $3 million. I was going to play golf. They should have threw that dumbass out a long time ago. I mean, serious? I mean, but again, it's been and people talk about Flint being broke and Flint ain't got no money. That's bullshit. Okay? And I know I'm using some pretty foul language, but there's just a lot of things really get my goat. Flint is not broke. Flint is so mismanaged. How can we be broke? You're charging Jeff $400 a month for water that he can't drink. So don't tell me you're broke. So,
Right.
I mean, again, it kills me, man. I don't get it. I guess that's why,
Okay, well,
I just,
I'd like to jump off that subject real quick,
yeah,
if we could.
yep,
And we have talked about this lady in Oregon who had been diagnosed with terminal brain cancer.
mm-hmm,
She had moved to Oregon to take advantage of the right to die thing that they have in Oregon. Anyway,
mm-hmm,
she had chose November 1st of this year as the day to die by assisted suicide, basically.
oh, okay, okay,
And she's gone now. It says here, I'm reading on IJ Review website. I'm quoting what she had put on her Facebook page that they're quoting on that website. It says,
Mhm.
Goodbye to all of my dear friends and family that I love. Today is the day I have chosen to pass away with dignity in the face of my terminal illness. The terrible brain cancer had taken so much from me,
mm-hmm,
but would have taken so much more. The world is a beautiful place. Travel has been my greatest teacher. My close friends and folks are the greatest givers. I even have a ring of support around my bed as I type, "Goodbye, world. Spread the good energy. Pay it forward." Said that she had suffered for years with painful headaches and was diagnosed from brain cancer at the beginning of 2014. The initial report said she had 3 to 10 years to live,
mm-hmm,
but her disease had advanced and she was only given about 6 months.
wow, sad,
So she gone ahead and chose to end her life through assisted suicide means.
mm-hmm,
Now, I shared that on my Facebook page, and I asked a simple question: what's your thoughts?
mm-hmm,
And that's basically where I'm at right now. What is your thoughts? Now, I do have one person here who responded and said she did what she thought she had to do. She did her research. She knew what she didn't want. Rest in peace, my dear.
yes, amen,
That's the one comment that I'm seeing right now. That's the only comment I have.
mm-hmm,
And for some reason, my computer is going real slow, so I'm not quite sure what's going on here, but could be because I've got 2 computers running, and I don't know. But anyway,
and you're on the phone?
I'm sure there's other comments elsewhere, because I found that actually on my timeline from wherever it is I got it. But
Mm-hmm.
anyway, so what's your thoughts?
My thought is pretty straightforward with that. Now, when I went to Baker, part of our English class was that we had to pick a topic, and on that topic we had to write a paper about what it was that we had picked, and the topic that I had picked was euthanasia. And the reason that I had picked that topic was because of my father, who was dying of terminal cancer, and if euthanasia was legal, would that have been an alternative for him? So I am very for people who have the right to life or the right to death, to die to die with dignity or to go through via euthanasia. I 100% supported Kevorkian for what he did. I totally support the states, and I know that I believe it's Oklahoma is one of the states that does legal euthanasia. I base a lot of my thought in theory on it's okay for us to, if our animal gets sick and there's no hope, there's nothing you can do for it, your animal is going to die and it's going to suffer long and it's going to suffer horribly until its day of death. But yet you can take that dog, that cat, that bird, doesn't matter what it is, you can take that pet to your local vet and have it put down. Is that morally right? I believe it is. I believe that you are not playing God if you prolong the suffering of a human. I have a problem with that. I don't think it's right. I personally, if I were ever to become terminal, and God, I pray that that never happened, but if that were to happen, if I were to become terminal and I had a way to stop the length of that illness and to stop my family from suffering, I would absolutely push the button and make that choice. Is suicide a sin against God? How do you look at it that way? Am I really sinning? I know that it's not my right to take my life according to the Bible, but it's also should be my right to say, I can't suffer like this, and nor will I let my family suffer like this. And if I can end this suffering, just like we do with our pets, I should have the legal right to do that and not be looked at as someone who, oh, they just, they didn't try. No. I've seen some of these places. I have visited hospice. I have been involved directly with family members that had passed away that I wish that euthanasia was available here in Michigan, because I think it should be something that we all should have that choice. If there's no if, ands, or but about it, you are terminal. You are going to die from this, but we're going to induce you into a coma. We're going to give you the basics to survive. And keep in mind, with my father, they kept an IV in him to keep liquid into him. They kept a tube down his nose to give him nourishment. They also kept him so stoned on morphine that there was no life there, Bird. There was no honor there. There was nothing there. He laid there and suffered. I'm not trying to accuse or make accusations. Please don't read this wrong. But I will never forget the nurse who took care of my father, made sure my father was never in pain. And when he, towards his end time, she made sure he was never in pain. Did she help his passing? I'm not going to tell you she did. I'm not going to say that. But if legally it were to come down and say, do you think she killed your father? I would say no. She released my father. And and I just, again, I understand the biblical aspect of it, that you are not to take your own life. I understand that. But does God want you to suffer horrifically? Does God want you to say you're going to lay in this bed and you're going to rot from the inside out until your body just finally shuts off? I mean, is that really the question? I don't think so.
Right.
I don't think that that's what he wants, and I don't think that's what he's looking for. It's, and I hope I'm answering your question in a right manner, because I would really, really like to see more states offer that as a means to end to end a life.
Well, I'm really hoping, I'm sorry to interrupt that. I just didn't mean to cut you off there, but I really hope that we can get some comments on if you post it to YouTube or wherever. I really hope we can get some comments posted concerning this topic. I'd really like to hear back about all of this, especially, but I want to also clarify something. And I think this is something that I shouldn't have to clarify this, but I think it's something that needs to be clarified. There is a major difference between suicide that we talked about earlier, where the 14-year-old committed suicide, versus suicide due to a terminal illness. There is a major difference.
Right.
In one way, in the terminal illness stance, I agree with you, and I'd much rather, and it's like this Brittany Menard said, she chose to leave this world with her dignity.
Thank you.
Rather than suffering to the point of somebody else wiping her butt, cleaning her up, turning her over, doing this, doing that for her, which is, and being in so much pain and, putting her family through all of that emotional pain and suffering that they were bound to have to go through because of it.
Exactly.
Now, that is a totally different beast versus committing suicide because of emotional distress.
Right. And I'm glad that you're saying this, because that's the point, again, that I agree with you, that I wanted to make the viewers understand also, that it's night and day. Okay, that's not the same. It's still that person committing to take their own life, but it's not the same. And 9 times out of 10, that person is not the one doing that is done by a certified practitioner. And, I want people to understand something too, that what I had found with this is that terminally ill patients, when they are at that point and the euthanasia process is to begin, that it's done so humanely that the person simply goes to sleep. There's no pain. They make sure of that. They make sure that that person is not in any pain. They put you into a deep coma. They give you a paralytic. After the paralytic, they stop the heart. It's that simple. And they have ways of monitoring that. They can read an EKG to say that this person is under some kind of distress. We need to give them more pain medicine or whatever the case might be. It's not like a prison. Even with that, and that I have a problem with. I think that when they euthanize a prisoner, well, gee, go figure that one, Bird. It's basically the same thing. It's the same drugs. It's just administered differently. And
Right.
and I mean that's the way to
Even
understand.
if it wasn't administered differently, even if it wasn't, it would still be administered
By a practitioner.
to well, not only that, but it's administered to a willing participant, whereas a person who is condemned to death due to a criminal conviction isn't necessarily willing, but it's been bestowed upon them by the court of law, and they were found guilty, blah, 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 and all that other legal mumbo jumbo. Whereas with this, we're talking about someone who says, I don't want to die that way, or, in a way that is totally humiliating to me as a person. I don't want to put my family and my friends through that trauma and that stress. I want to go out with my dignity.
Exactly.
Not because I lost my zest for life, but because I know that my life will ultimately end due to the illness that I have.
Right. So just don't prolong
and that's the key
it.
right there. Death is imminent. In this particular instance that we're talking about here. Death is imminent. So it's a chosen scenario or opposed to living out until the very end and having a huge hospital bill left over for your loved ones to have to pay, and your insurance has to pay, and all of this other stuff. I guess in a way, it's almost a way to say, if you want to look at it this way, and maybe it's just my goofy way to think about it, it's kind of cheating the wealthy out of gaining some extra money.
Oh, yeah.
Because rather than going to the hospital and all these, top executives that's making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a year because they run the hospitals, and you're treating the insurance company out of hundreds of thousands of dollars because you're not depending on the insurance to pay for that necessarily over a long extended period. You're treating them out, the wealthy out of in a legal way, out of all that extra money that they're going to gain from your extended time.
Right.
I know that's a little morbid in thinking, but it's
the
that's
truth.
another way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much the truth. I mean, again, luckily my father had insurance. I mean, we had Medicaid. I mean, we didn't have Blue Cross Blue Shield, so we had Medicaid. How many thousands of dollars a day was Medicaid being charged for that? And please don't misinterpret this. They still deserve as much medical attention that they can be given. I don't think they should ever be denied that. My father was always very well taken care of. They made sure of that. But again, if we could have opted and said, is this something that while you're alive that you would want in a will in case if you were not able to speak for yourself and to have this done? I think more and more people would probably do it. Again, it's they do it with such dignity. It's you go in, you set the date, the time, you make that choice. They simply honor your wish. I wish that more states would get on board with that. And like you're saying, I think it would be, is it a question of, compare it to the common cold. We've had the cure for the common cold for how many years? But we don't cure it because we spend trillions of dollars in cold medicine to treat something that we've had a cure for forever. It's almost the same thing. Why cure the dying when we make trillions of dollars a year off from extended medical treatments on them, knowing that they're still going to pass away anyway, but we're going to keep them alive as long as we can and build the system. I think it's wrong.
Right. I'm browsing real quick here. I'm on Facebook and just kind of browsing. I'm looking to see if there's anything else that we had either talked about in the past or that might be interesting to talk about now to bring up. Not really seeing much of anything of significance that needs to be brought up, so I will leave it open to you to bring up the next topic here.